Today's video is going to be the ultimate guide to what a fighter should eat and drink post weigh-in as soon as they step off the scale. This is the topic that I get asked about the most from fighters. This refuel protocol is literally the difference between amateurs and professionals. So strap in, get excited, and let's get it. What's good? It's Coach Adam from Counter-Strike, where we make fight science simple. On this channel, I break down everything a fighter needs to know about strength, conditioning, nutrition, mindset to help them dominate on the mats or in the cage. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about something that I get asked about all the time, and this is post weigh-in refueling. I've been around the game for a long time, over 2 decades now, and when it comes to what a fighter eats and drinks after they weigh in, I've seen it all. You'd be surprised at some of the crazy shit people put in their bodies. I've seen guys slam energy drinks right off the scale, go to the taco bar, eat sandwiches and chips with no kind of structure, no kind of plan, and it shows in their performance, it shows in their recovery. At Counter-Strike, we have a motto. We celebrate wins, not weigh-ins. So once you make weight, the discipline and the work doesn't stop. Every professional knows that the key to a successful career comes down to how they refuel after they make weight. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down a step-by-step guide to help you understand how to refuel like a professional. And make sure you stick around all the way to the end because the last point is gonna be a game changer. So we're going to be breaking the refueling protocol into 3 categories. Category number 1, the very first thing a fighter wants to put in their body post weigh-in is electrolytes. When you look at a lot of electrolyte supplements, they have 500 milligrams or less of sodium. The Right Stuff has over 1,700 milligrams of sodium. So after a fighter is depleting and dehydrating their body, it's crucial that we put a large amount of electrolytes back into our system. Electrolytes are important for a couple different reasons. First, they're crucial for body function. If we don't have electrolytes, our cells, our muscles, our body in general is just not going to work at an optimal level. So if we're dehydrating to make weight, that means we're sweating and peeing all of the electrolytes out of our body. We have to put electrolytes back in our body at a very high level to be able to perform at our peak on fight night. Electrolytes are also really important because they are going to help us rehydrate even quicker. Water follows electrolytes like salt. So if we have 1,700 milligrams of sodium in our electrolyte supplement and we mix that with our water, the water is going to follow all of that sodium, which means it's going to get into our body, it's going to get into our muscles, it's going to get into our blood even faster than if we were just drinking water. I'm sure you can relate to this, where you step off the scale and you just drink water, and it doesn't matter how much water you drink, you still just keep peeing and peeing and peeing, and you're not rehydrating. It's because you're lacking electrolytes from your refueling protocol. So the very first thing that you want to do, step off the scale, and within the first 15 minutes, you want to sip on some electrolytes. Now, here's an important note, very important: do not chug what you put in your body. It's going to be very difficult. I know you've dehydrated. I know you can't wait to get that water in your system. But if you chug, it is going to mess up your stomach. You might throw up, and it's going to make it more difficult to get the rest of the food and the rest of the supplements into your system. Category number 2 in our refueling protocol is going to be carbohydrates. Carbs are really important for athletic performance. They are our body's preferred source of energy, and especially in combat sports, carbs are king when it comes to energy and fuel. Chances are, if you've done any kind of significant amount of weight cutting, then you've probably reduced your carb consumption in some capacity. Your muscles are probably lacking from things like glycogen, which is basically just stored sugar. And so it's really important that after we get our electrolytes in our system, we start reintroducing carbs in our body so we can replenish our glucose and glycogen stores, and we can actually have the the energy to perform on fight night. The very first thing we do when it comes to reintroducing carbs to our athletes is using things like fruit purees. This could be something like Fuel for Fire, which is a fruit puree with some protein in it. This could be something like applesauce, or I love the company Go-Go Squeeze because they're those little applesauce packages. The reason that I like fruit purees is because there's no fiber in them. It's very important that we avoid fiber when it comes to refueling, because after we dehydrate, after we make weight, all of that's just gonna sit in our stomach and make it uncomfortable. So I like to keep the fiber very low. I like fruit purees because most of the digestion of those carbs is going to happen in our mouth. So it's going to get in our bloodstream very, very quickly. So I tell our athletes we wanna go anywhere from like 30 to 70 grams of carbs using a fruit puree to get it in our system. From there, I like to then move on to liquids, something like a carb supplement like a dextrose powder, or something like a smoothie, like a naked smoothie, can be great options to get even more carbohydrates. Now we're trying to get into somewhere around the 100 gram, 200 gram range when it comes to carbs. We had that little bit of carbs in our system, made it okay for our stomach. Now we can introduce more carbohydrates. We want to still avoid solid foods though. Most athletes, their stomachs are still going to be a little bit messed up from the process. So moving from purees to liquids are a great step in replenishing the sugar, replenishing the energy in the body, and getting fighters ready to dominate on fight night. And the third category that we are going to dive into when it comes to post weigh-in refueling is going to be food. Once we've gotten our electrolytes and water in, once we've gotten some of our carbohydrates into our system, after an hour or maybe even more has passed and your stomach has started to settle down, now we can look at putting food into our system. When it comes to eating after a weigh-in, we still want to prioritize carbohydrates. Getting a lot of carbs in is huge when it comes to performance on fight night. So our first meal, we want to look to have a ratio of 4-to-1 carbs to protein. I want to choose simple carbohydrates like a white rice or a sweet potato without the skin or a pasta. This way, there's not a lot of digestion that goes on in the stomach, and we can get those carbs in our system as quickly as possible. As far as proteins are concerned, we want to stick to lean proteins that we've been eating throughout fight camp. Maybe a lean chicken, maybe a lean fish. If you've been eating red meat throughout camp and it doesn't mess up your stomach, a steak could be great. But when I say 4-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein, what I mean by this is, let's say I have 4 fist-sized portions of white rice. I'm gonna have 1 fist-sized portion of a lean protein. This way I'm prioritizing carbs and also getting my protein in. Then from there, each meal that we have afterwards, we are going to taper down our carb intake. So if meal 1 was a 4-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein, then maybe 3 to 4 hours later, meal 2 is going to be a 3-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. Now, at this point, a lot of my athletes, their stomachs are done. They can't really get anything more into their system. It's usually a little bit later, so they're going to bed. But if you're still hungry or you have a little bit more time throughout the day, then your next meal can be a 2-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. And by the time it's the morning, we want to look at a 1-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. When it comes to fighters, we all know this, no two fighters are the same. There's a lot of individuality that goes into fight sports and athletic performance. This guide is just a general outline. I guarantee if you incorporate these 3 categories, electrolytes, carbs, and food, and you follow the instructions in this video to a T, you're already refueling better than 80% of the fight game. Now, if you want to fill that extra 20% and truly be one of the most elite fighters in the world, then working with a professional, working with a weight cutting specialist that can cover all of the different individualities, your food preference, your allergies, your age, height, size when you're fighting, working with a coach is the best way to do that. If you're interested in learning how to work with our team and actually speak with a coach to see how we can take your game to the next level, there's a link down in the description where you can book a call with me personally, and we can talk about your goals, talk about your strengths, your weaknesses, and see how we can take you to another level. But that's the video. I hope you dug it. If you got a lot out of it, make sure you hit that like button. We're gonna be constantly dropping videos like this every single week, leveling up your knowledge to help you level up on the mats or in the cage. And if you haven't subscribed already, What are you doing? Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything that we're dropping. Until next time, catch you later.